Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And we lied. One, we said we didn't have to think of a new episode until the season was over, and we said this is our last mailbag until week one of the New York Giants season. Well, we have both. We had to think of some stuff to talk about. And we're doing leftovers from the mailbag from Tuesday, which, by the way, me and Danny in 2019, we used to, in the off season, we would put out a mailbag tweet every single episode. So, Justin, how are you?
All right, yeah, little throwback then. Our 4th of July vacation was about the best of moments, so doing a little bit more throwbacks. Hi, Bobby Skinner. I want to say something at the top before we get too nitty-gritty into PPP season and camp and stuff like that. Camp Battles episode is this Tuesday. Very, very excited for that.
Daniel Bellinger on the PUP.
That's today. But FanFest tickets, they're on sale. Training camp tickets, they have been on. I shouldn't even say on sale because they're free. Hopefully some training camp tickets are still available there, but there should be enough FanFest tickets for whoever wants to go can go. Get those tickets. Come hang out with us, because for two reasons. Number one, I want to hang out with you, want to have an awesome time. And then number two, I kind of want to prove to everybody, you never know who's watching, I kind of want to prove to anybody and everybody that Talkin' Giants has the best fan community and the biggest fan community out there. That when we tell people to show up to something, that they show up. So FanFest tickets are available. They were available on Thursday. So it's a Friday. Get yourself some FanFest tickets for the family, yourself, some friends. We're going to get a Catered by the Candlewick Diner again. Parking Lot G, LPG, Chris the Entertainer, a lot more friends are going to be there. So come hang out with us. Come have a good time. You're going to regret it if you don't come.
Who are you pissed off at? John Boy Media?
No, you know what? I want this season to be bigger and better for the Giants. And because it's going to be bigger and better for the Giants, hopefully, I want this season to be bigger and better for us. I want to show the world, Talking Giants versus the world, I'm wearing the shirt, not pissed off at anybody. I just want to show everybody that we have the best Giants fan community out there, because I know it's true, and I want to show everybody.
Word up. I'm very excited. I mean, the next regular episode that we do, I'll be in Jersey for camp for the next 3 weeks. So very excited about that. Let's get into the news, though. The news du jour. And again, like I said, we had to think of episodes a lot this offseason, because usually there's like at least 3 or 4 episodes where something happens to take up an episode. Didn't happen this offseason. No. Nothing out of the ordinary happened for the New York Giants this offseason. So good on the Giants, through getting through all of this. The news is Daniel Bellinger is put on the PUP list, a physically unable to perform list, to start camp. We'll talk about it from some different layers. He has a quad injury. According to Arch Stapleton, it's not serious, so I don't think it's something to panic about, even though it is it's more worrisome because Daniel Bellinger is expected to have a big role, but also he's a rookie. But I went and looked at last year, because last year, remember, they had 6 guys on PUP, and I would expect more guys to be on it. You would think that the rest of the PUP list is usually out by now. But anyways, Matt Parrott was on it last year. He was on it for 4 days of training camp, not from when they actually announced it, but when training camp started, he was on it for 4 days. O'Shane Zimenez and Saquon Barkley were on it for 13 days. Jonathan Harrison was on it for 7 days. Kyle Rudolph was on it for 29 days, and Aaron Robinson was on it for the start of the season and obviously missed. So basically what the PUP list is, because I think it's not like fully known by everybody, is kind of an IR for training camp. So it's basically just insurance of if a guy stays injured through training camp, because they count against the 90-man roster in training camp. But once they get down the cutdown day, if you're on the PUP list, well, you don't take up a roster spot, but you also have to miss the first 4 weeks of the season. So it's basically guys that come in with injuries into camp, not having to, if they do stay on it for a while, like Aaron Robinson did last year, you don't have to worry about having to cut that guy or cutting another guy for the 53-man roster.
Yeah, you hit the hammer on the nail there, Bobby Skinner. Yep, that's how it goes. Knew I was going to mess it up. Had something from Research Rick pulled up where he took a screenshot of PUP and then non-football injury/illness, and then a fancy little explanation that even makes me confused because I can't get simple expressions right. So, yeah, you were correct. Didn't you say something on the Twitter sphere today that Daniel Bellinger, like in the midst of this quiet period, you saw him like working out, running around on Instagram or something like that?
That's actually why I'm not stressed about it, because one, he was at tight end U a couple weeks ago, and the past couple weeks, Daniel Jones has been training with Kenny Golladay, Saquon, Sills, Wandale, and Daniel Bellinger has been one of those guys, and they've been training in East Rutherford, New Jersey, the past couple weeks out of high school. So like I even double checked to confirm that. Like, so Daniel Bellinger has been training and moving. So that's why I'm not stressed about it. Plus, Arch Stapleton reported it's not serious. But if he is on this for like more than 5-6 days of training camp, then it is.
That's when it's like, come on.
It's not worrisome about like a long-term injury with Daniel Bellinger, but it's like, hey, this guy's expected to have a big role this year, and as a rookie, every single rep of camp is going to matter for developing chemistry with Daniel Jones, figuring out the offense, finding out the nuances of the offense, where to sit in this zone, those type of things, what Daniel Jones is going to expect out of you. So for a guy who, hey, he needs every rep he can get as a 4th-round rookie tight end who's expected to probably start, that's the part that worries me, not necessarily is Daniel Bellinger's out for the first few games of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% with you. And, I've said it time and time again, part of how I'm evaluating the Giants offense, especially the Giants offense this summer, I will be changing my expectations on the Giants offense depending on how many guys are practicing, how many guys aren't wearing red jerseys, how many guys are kind of going full tilt and getting reps together. And Daniel Bellinger is a huge part of it. Of course, on Tuesday, I had to say, Daniel Bellinger is the player that I'm most excited to see during training camp. Of course, I had to, go out and say that. Remember when I gave like Logan Ryan like a giant factor, and then he got like COVID or something like that. There was like a run during 2020 or 2021 where I was calling people my giant factor, and then they would like get hurt or something. But
still doesn't
I agree
top
with you.
Danny using Golden Tate as a giant factor and getting suspended, and that doesn't top me using Janoris Jenkins as a giant factor and him getting cut hours later.
No, it does not. Maybe we should stop saying that we're excited about things. So,
so like I said,
not a big deal.
I wouldn't panic about this, until
not a big deal until it's a big deal.
Yeah, if he hits 8 days of training camp and he's on the PUP list, then it's something to be a little worried about. But also, I was expecting the rest of the PUP list to be out today, and we'd talk about that.
Friday news dump. It's coming.
Yeah, there's going to be more guys that are added to it. The good news is none of the other rookies are on it. So Kayvon is, I know he was in a red jersey for OTAs. So none of the other rookies are on it. Who are the guys you're expecting on it? The two easy ones would be Nick Gates and Matt Parrott to me. And I think we talked a little pre-show. We disagree. I expect Sterling Shepard to be on it.
I don't expect Sterling Shepard to be on it just because of Joe Shane's insistence that he would be ready by August. Sterling Shepard would be him and Blake Martinez would be ready by August. Now, obviously, Blake Martinez suffered his injury much earlier than Sterling Shepard, so that's why like he should be ready to go. No, but because Shepard was still in the red jersey, so they.
In August he could come back August 1st and still be on the PUP list.
Yeah, all right. You know what? I have changed my mind. And also, Sterling Shepard's like the one player on the Giants where if he's wearing a red jersey for half of August, I really don't care because him and Daniel Jones just have this chemistry that no other skill position player has with Daniel Jones. So yeah, I'll agree with you and say Shep because I do think they're going to take it easy on him. And I think there's also just a bunch of other wide receivers that are on the roster that I think the coaching staff wants to give reps to. Cough, cough, Richie James season. Brought him up. Every show I'm going to bring him up. Madden rating of 76. Bonkers. And then Matt Parrott. I thought like Matt Parrott was going to be on it, and I'm kind of shocked that he wasn't to start. But he probably will. Confident.
They haven't announced the PUP list for the vets, so maybe it's a little delayed this year.
Yeah.
So
Matt Parrott will be on it.
Yeah, Matt Parrott should be on it. Nick Gates should be on it. And then Shep, you mentioned Blake. I actually didn't think about Blake. The surprise one would be not that much of a surprise to be Kadarius Toney because he did have surgery, and I think it was in either late April or early May, which that would suck because Kadarius Toney has had so many different injury issues. And Twitter would really suck for that.
Yeah, Twitter more than anything would suck.
4 or 5 hours. But again, we talked about, I said, Kadarius Toney, I want him practicing. Okay, he needs to be a part of this team practicing because he really can be the biggest factor of how well this offense plays. So those are the guys that I kind of are like on my radar for the PUP list. Anything else on the PUP list before I read an ad?
Do you think the Giants are going to intentionally avoid putting Kadarius Toney on any kind of list just so Brian Daboll can avoid getting, hey, is this guy injured question, since he hates, hey, is this guy injured question?
No. But I know that he, like, if Kadarius Toney starts out on the PUP, like, that's the question he's going to be the most annoyed with is what's to do with Kadarius Toney.
This will be a good test to see, like, hey, it's the start of training camp. How open is Brian Daboll going to be with this stuff, even though he did say, I'm not going to be open with it? But has the spring kind of taught him that he is going to get this question and he might as well kind of sort of embrace it?
Yeah, he just needs to pull a Joe Judge and spend 1.5 minutes not answering instead of just not answering. Right?
Yes.
Because the media eats that stuff up. Like, wow, what a detailed answer. When you look back, it's like, he didn't really answer that.
Speaking of the media, we have to talk about something after you read an ad.
Turn big league action into big winnings with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any game and get $100 in free bets instantly. Plus, all customers can combine multiple bets for a shot and even bigger payout with DraftKings same-game parlays. At DraftKings Sportsbook, you're able to bet on your favorite batter to hit a double in his next plate appearance, your favorite pitcher's next pitch to be a strike, and so much more. I bet you could bet on if Donovan Mitchell's going to be a Knick.
Here that's close from sources unknown.
Well, all those sources are fake, even though I do think he'll be a Knick, and I do think it's smart by the Knicks. They're gonna have to give up some stuff. I know it's never easy to make a trade like that because you're giving up so much. But Knicks fans bring up the Carmelo Anthony trade, and Snacks kind of brought this up to me a few weeks ago. Look back at the Carmelo Anthony trade. Like, I don't know, that was kind of a fine trade, and I really like Donovan Mitchell more than most people, so I think the Knicks should definitely do it. Another thing with the Knicks, isn't it kind of insane? They had their big money free agent signing and Jalen Brunson, and they just didn't invite the media. Now, I know Knicks fans hate the media, and media are some clowns, and the media can pick on the Knicks at times. A lot of times deservedly, other times they know it gets clicks. But that was kind of insane, like not inviting the media, like because they were worried about the questions about Donovan Mitchell and stuff.
Now, I'm asking this as a basketball fan that doesn't know basketball. The Knicks signing that guy, is that basically the equivalent to the Giants signing Mark Lewinsky? Like, Mark Lewinsky was our big money free agent this year. I've never heard of that guy that the Knicks signed this year.
I think it's a little more of a big deal.
Okay, a little bit more.
But it's just like, hey, when you sign a guy and you have him introduced, you invite the media, and they just didn't because they were scared about questions. I know.
James Dolan? Was that an organization thing or a James Dolan thing?
I guess, it's, two sides of the same coin.
Both.
And I guess, listen, I know Knicks fans. Media is some clowns. Like, you don't have to remind me. Media is some clowns. Mm-hmm. But it is, you still got to let them come to the press conferences. Like, make fun of their questions and stuff, but you got to let them come to the press conferences at least. And I saw, like, Knicks fans saying, like, why do they care? It's like, well, it's their job. Anyways.
Bet Donovan Mitchell to be a Knick.
Yeah. I think that's like a lock at this point. To make things even sweeter, DraftKings is stepping up to the plate with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. The more legs you add, the bigger boost your winnings receive. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code JOHNBOY. New customers can make any $5 bet and get $100 in free bets instantly. That's promo code JOHNBOY only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. MLB trademarks used with permission. Justin, we forgot to put in the bullet points. The throwback unis are back for the New York Giants.
Oh, wow.
And they're wearing them for the December 4th game versus Washington.
Yes.
For our tailgate, where I'm going to be there. We're going to, be catered to have a good time. Like they're going to wear it for that. That's kind of awesome. I'm kind of tempted to get the Jeremy Shockey one, even though Shockey never actually wore that jersey.
Did you see that Colin Johnson was a player that was on there, and his jersey was actually listed twice. Found that to be really, really funny. Before all the rookies were on there. I realize now the rookies are on there, but there was a day where Colin Johnson's jersey was available to purchase before Kayvon Thibodeau, and even like Aziz too. I didn't even see Aziz on there. He's not a rookie. So that was funny. I'm much more excited about, just as a regular season ticket holder, much more excited about the stadium design and going back to Super Bowl 21, matching that end zone where you have the blue and the red versus simply just the jersey and the helmet change. That is what I am very, very excited to see. I think it looks dope. So
here's the one critique I have of it.
I guess?
Because video quality is a lot better, I would like them to be a little more darker blue, like the helmets are going to be.
That's what I was going to say. It looks a little funky, yeah.
Just a little too. And again, that's a small critique. And for the people who say that they look like Bills uniforms, and if Bills fans try and make that joke, just respond to them like, "Hey, we beat you in the Super Bowl in these uniforms." So,
wow, yeah.
maybe it's you're the ones who copied us.
Yeah,
but definitely those are cool. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a money making machine for the Giants. And if they lose, it will. If they're losing and they suck, it'll be, why are they trying to distract us with these? Remember, people were saying like, why are they trying to distract us with these halftime ceremonies? It's like, well, they didn't get the pick when the 10-year anniversary of the Super Bowl was. Okay, and Eli Manning was going to get his jersey retired, and they realized, hey, we got to retire Strahan's jersey if we're going to retire Eli's jersey.
Good on them for making it games that we maybe can win.
Yeah, I actually think they did that on purpose. So
the home schedule is pretty easy this year. I mean, they could have made it the Ravens game and then really... Well, no, you can't make it the Ravens game because we lost against the Ravens in 2000. I actually think it was kind of smart that... I don't know. They probably did this intentionally. Where Washington, we defeated them in the 1986 NFC Championship game. And then the Bears, we defeated them in the 1990 playoffs as well in one of the games. So I actually think that was the thought process. There you go.
Maybe that is what it is. So those are cool. Other news before we get into this mailbag. Our boy Zach Rosenblatt's dipping on the Giants' beat, kind of screwed up. Peace. Did he think of like it's kind of frustrating, like kind of selfish, right?
Very. Just because you don't win the Tony Award, you got to pout, you got to whine, and you just leave the Giants' beat like that just because you don't win an award. Hard.
I hope NJ.com could be hit or miss. Like they've had some good ones and they've had some really bad ones. Matt Lombardo.
Yeah.
I hope whoever they replace him with is good.
Yeah.
And we'll try and whoever it's replaced with, we'll try and get on the show for training camp.
Yeah, no, but in all reality, I mean, Zach Rosenblatt was the first beat reporter who we were really close with. And we kind of said, like, hey, Zach's new. We're kind of new on the scene. Let's kind of form this good little relationship. And, Zach called me Penkin in an NJ.com article about, fans not being able to get into the stands during COVID for 2020. I gave him the great line that Giants fans have been social distancing in the month of December for the last few years anyway, so what doesn't matter? He wrote that awesome story on snacks that made the print version of NJ Advanced Media, so that made the paper.
Nick Gates versus the World.
Nick Gates versus the World, when that went trending, Rosenblatt kind of pointed that out. So, I mean, he's been our guy, and he's
been a good beat reporter.
And I was just about to say, like, we talk about his practice recaps, especially the last 2 years of this Judge tenure, where we haven't been able to attend practices. Zach Rosenblatt has had one of the best daily practice reports every single day. That's where we would go. So we're going to miss you, Zach. We wish you luck on wherever your journey lies next, my friend.
Something tells me he's just going to, whatever he's going to do, he's probably going to cover. You know what? I'm not going to give it up. I was going to try and make a hint at it, but it's like, you know what? That's his announcement.
We know, but we're not going to say it because it's his moment. We're good people.
So,
yes.
Debatable. All right. Yes. Do you want to get into these mailbag questions?
Oh man, never expected to throw it to Steve 2 episodes in a row.
Take it away, Steve.
Mail time. The mail's here. Come on. Bye, guys.
Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
Thanks, Steve from Blues Clues. Justin, let's get into the mail.
Bobby Skinner, what I love about a lot of these questions, we're answering some questions that we usually don't typically answer. So Johnny 5, what is a realistic expectation record-wise for this team? Hashtag Talking Giants versus the World. Johnny 5 has a podcast too. Bobby Skinner, we've never actually given our record predictions yet.
I kind of hate record predictions.
I know, that's why we don't usually do it.
But the thing is like I want to know everyone's record prediction too. Like when we have beat reporters on during campus, like I want to know your record prediction because it really tells the truth on how you actually feel about the team. But I'm also of the mindset of like you go into every single game thinking you're going to win. I mean, let's kind of look at Vegas and this team. I think it's 6-11. That's like if you were like betting on a record, it would be 6-11, right?
What is what Vegas numbers are you looking at?
I think Vegas has it at 7 or 7.
Vegas
or
has it at
6.5.
7.5.
Okay, so but realistically, like if you're from the outside in looking at 6-11. Now I understand, like, oh well, there's this thing improved, but one, the defense could be really, really bad, and if it's decent, then this number is going to be more than 6. But the defense could be really, really bad, and let this Daniel Bellinger news remind us: once camp starts and once the season starts, injuries happen. Okay, I know right now on paper the offense looks like it could be a pretty decent offense, but it's a couple injuries away from,
being a bad offense.
Corey Cunningham starting at tackle, and Darius Slayton's wide receiver 2, and again, and Wandale's put into this huge role, and maybe Bellinger doesn't play great, and Evan Neal has some rookie struggle, like. And Daniel Jones doesn't do well in the Dable Kafka offense, learning it new. So there's just so many things that can happen. And with the Giants, they usually do. But I'm more optimistic about this team as far as like 6-11. Like, I don't think that shares how I view this season, because my view of the season is like, how well does the offense look? And not specifically Daniel Jones, but just how does the offense look? That's my indicator of success, is how does the offensive scheme, how does it look? Do they put up big games? Or if they're inconsistent, I'm fine with that. But if they're having big games but they're inconsistent and it's mostly because of the quarterback play, I'm fine with that, because it's then it's time to move on from Daniel Jones, and we got a DJ question later. So, but I think 6-11, 7-10 is the realistic choice, right?
We're hitting the over on 7.5, and we are winning 8 games. I'm putting $100 on it.
Would you say that?
As a who?
If you were a Jets fan, would you say that?
Well, fuck that. I'm not a Jets fan, and I'm looking at like.
But I'm saying they asked for a realistic one.
I think winning 8 games is realistic.
I think it's realistic that it could happen, but I don't know. I'm trying not to be a Debbie Downer on this, but it's.
No, and sometimes usually it's the opposite with us, but I feel good. I feel good. I felt good last year too, but I feel good.
If James Bradbury was on this team, I would be saying 8-9 wins. Like, this is a team that can bounce back. But with the cornerback situation, it's just so worrisome that it's like, I don't know if they can overcome some wide receiver injuries, and if the DBs are that bad. Adore is moving to cornerback 1. How well does he do back in that role for the first time, since he was in Tennessee and missing games? So, I'm excited about this Giants season. Don't get me wrong about that, but I just think if I was not a Giants fan looking at this team, I would probably say 6-11. But they do have a weak schedule though, so which can change it. I didn't take that into place. And that's something I want from the Giants this year, and I've actually had this take in my head for a while, and I don't know why I haven't said it out loud on the podcast, is let's not be the team that the bad teams look at and be like, oh, that's a win on our schedule, which has been the case for the Giants for a while, besides maybe 22 or 2020. like last year, the Bears blew us out. Like, let's not be that team. Let's be the team that is not a great team, but it's like, hey, we can beat the bad teams. That's the kind of team I want the New York Giants to be this year. Like, where it's like, hey, we beat the Texans, we beat the Jags, we split with Washington. Those, win those games, and then you have the surprise here and there, and then you get upset by, I don't know, fill in the blank with whatever crappy team, the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I mean, that was the Eagles season last year, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I want. Now, obviously, you don't have to have the playoffs, but yeah, that's what I want to be. Is like, I want to be the Eagles of last year. Where, are they a good team? No. When they're in the playoffs, do they look like frauds? Yeah. Even though the Eagles had the worst possible match they could get. But beat bad teams. Now, I don't want it to be where the Eagles, where it's like they didn't beat a single winning team and they only beat bad teams. Let's get one win against a good team. But yeah, I kind of want, that's what I want for the Giants.
I mean, the Eagles were expected to be not just bottom of the barrel of the division last year, but the Eagles were expected to be bottom barrel of the NFL. They were expected to be the Giants last year. And I've said this over and over. Why I respect that team and why I respect, Howie Roseman is because they fielded a respectable team last year, despite them technically being, I guess, in a rebuilding mode until they find some sort of QB1 answer. So I'm expecting a Philadelphia Eagles-like type season this year for the Giants, obviously not including the playoffs. But that is what I am expecting. I actually was going back on...
It's not crazy if the Giants sneak into the playoffs either. Like, it's not just Giants fans saying... Like, I was listening to Robert Mays and Nate Tice talk about it. They're like, listen, this team... Like, they couldn't totally tear things down because of their cap situation. Like, this could be, like the first year of the Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane Bills.
I mean, you saw it with the dichotomy between Patrick Graham and Jason Garrett. The defense in 2020 and more or less in 2021, but definitely 2020, the defense was supposed to be god awful. Defense was supposed to be awful. And then 2020, offense was supposed to be kind of booming. Daniel Jones' second year, Jason Garrett going to hone in the turnovers, et cetera, et cetera. The dichotomy of good coaching and bad coaching is what the 2020 Giants was. Patrick Graham was a good coach, and he took a unit that arguably should have been bad, especially with some not great secondary pieces and CB2, slot corner, Darnay Holmes was a rookie. Took that defense, made it a top 10 unit, and Jason Garrett took an offense with promise and flushed it down the toilet. And I think you have complementary coaching this year, and that is what separates this Giants team.
So look at it. I'm excited about the Giants now. Next question. We got two Jones questions, and they're kind of different on both spectrums. Wes Locke, Wesley West. Why don't I read an ad if there's... I didn't know you were putting those two together.
Oh, well, no, I'm not reading them together. I do want to answer them separately.
Oh, okay. We'll do one, and then I'll read an ad.
But I just want to let everybody know, two Daniel Jones questions coming in a row. Wes Locke, at what point do fans start chanting Tyrod Taylor to start instead of Jones? Training camp, FanFest, preseason, week 1 or later. I have a theory about Wes Locke. I think he intentionally leaves two questions every single mailbag. One that he knows won't get answered but is outlandish, and then the other one he knows will get answered.
And just better chance of getting on the mailbag pod because you asked two questions. We may like one. I mean, the real answer is if he has a bad game in week 1, 2, or 3, or if he plays all right and then has two bad games in a row in week 7, like two games in a row later in the season. And unless he's totally, like, I'm talking about like stinking it up, it'll never be reasonable, but it will happen, obviously.
Yes. And this may be a
scenario. It'll happen in preseason if Daniel Jones has a bad game.
Oh yeah, for Twitter it'll happen in preseason. So this is where again I'm trying to. This may be a question where you have to separate the fan that you see on Twitter, where there's people that are interacting with us every single day about this football team, and it's literally in the dead period in the middle of July. That's not the average typical fan. And then there's the fan that shows up, to the stadium once a year. And then there's the fan that just watches on TV, puts the Giants, picks it up on Sunday, puts it down on Monday, right? So I feel like there's a difference between the Twitter fan and then the casual fan.
The casual fan, my answer is correct.
Yes.
The Twitter fan.
Do they even know that Tyrod Taylor's on the team?
Yeah. But now they know. And obviously, and you know what? People are their personality. So there's some people who, no matter how, like if Daniel Jones is just stinking it up, they'll still be like, nope, Daniel Jones needs to play. And then there will be people who just can't stand Daniel Jones and they'll look for any reason to say, start Tyrod Taylor. So, to be honest, I don't care either way.
Yeah, that's partially why, we never really put this kind of question on a regular mailbag, because I don't care. Like if you make a dedication to somebody as QB1 for a certain season, and then for whatever reason that QB1 doesn't work out in said season, in my brain your season is over unless you are a Super Bowl playoff contending team. Like if you're the Giants and you're looking to be average, or you're going to be a little bit below average team, and QB1 is, his season's over, or we're booing him, we're benching him, in my brain, okay, yeah, kind of season's over.
And Daniel Jones is just clearly, like, he's flat out a better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor too.
Not everybody agrees with that.
I don't care. But if they actually watch games and not highlights, you will see Daniel Jones is clearly a better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor. And I like Tyrod Taylor as a backup. I would like to maybe go through the backup QBs in the NFL. He's one of the better backup QBs. He can win you a game. He has some really good moments, but Daniel Jones is clearly a better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah. Giants in on Jimmy G.
God, I usually ignore that stuff, but that was so stupid. That was so dumb. That was so frustrating. It's like, why are like sports radio? Like I think I replied to Colin Coward. I was like, sports radio is a disease. It's like just do 15 minutes of research before a freaking segment, and it just would make no sense. Today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. They're not a disease. Live events are back, which means you can get $20 off tickets at SeatGeek with promo code GIANTS. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. We've got the apps on our phones, which we're going to use for the Yankee game we're going to, I guess, a week and a half from today.
And guess what?
You're going to the Orioles game.
Yes, this Sunday I'm going to the Orioles versus Yankees game, Camden Yards, my first Yankee game of the year, and I use SeatGeek. How do you like that?
If Ronnie Swanson doesn't go, he's a pussy.
I said, like, come get me. That's what I told him. So, told him what section I'll be in and everything.
Whether it's football, concerts, basketball, baseball, festivals, or more, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web in one place to make buying simple. SeatGeek rates every ticket from 0 to 10 to make sure you are getting a good deal. Green means good, red means bad. Every ticket on SeatGeek is backed by their buyer guarantee, so you can shop for tickets with confidence. And again, don't worry, we've got the hookup. Use code GIANTS for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code GIANTS. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app.
What an odd combination, Ronnie Swans. Who is a Giants and an Orioles fan? What?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's so strange.
I think he lives in Baltimore, so that part makes sense. Yeah. And football can be a little different. Yeah. Next question.
Shane O'Brien, any relation to Jimmy and Luke? At SPOB92. If Daniel Jones is playing very well, but gets injured in, say, Week 13, do the Giants move on at the end of the year just solely due to the injury history?
My answer is no. And it depends how very well can be...
This is so an in-the-moment question, so...
Yeah, so that's why I said, in the moment, if everyone is... If the large majority... If anybody that's reasonable is like, man, this guy's playing like a franchise QB, or like he looks like a franchise QB, then no. You don't move on. Because guess what? Like, he's not going to have a ton of leverage, so you can sign him to a one-year deal. Do you give him a long-term deal? No, you don't. But you can sign him to a one-year deal. It would be very frustrating for Daniel Jones to be playing really well and get injured and miss, I guess at that point it would be 5 games.
That is the sweet spot, the sweet area of when he usually does get hurt. So,
and it would depend on how how they view the next QB class. If there's a QB they love in this class and they have a reasonable chance of getting him, then yes, you move on. Because it'll be year 4 for Daniel Jones and 5 years in a row of getting injured. But if they're on pace to have, if he's playing really well, they're on pace to have, let's say, the 17th, 18th pick in the draft, and they don't really love anybody in the class, then no, because you don't have to bringing him back doesn't mean you're making a huge commitment. The worst case scenario, you franchise tag him.
I'm just so scared of getting in this mid QB purgatory.
He said really well.
That a lot of NFL teams are in, like Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, give me another guy.
Dak Prescott.
Even like Dak Prescott. When Dak Prescott, it puts up really good numbers, but still, when you're paying quarterbacks, if they're not Mahomes or Allen Rodgers, Brady, which that's such an unfair expectation to put on any human being, but if they're not those guys, it really kind of hampers the ability to build a football team unless you want to be the psycho Rams that just sign everybody. They never have high leverage draft picks, but they also drafted well to keep all these guys to begin with. So I just don't want to be stuck in this QB purgatory of having a average quarterback that isn't going to take us anywhere, but just being scared of being without a quarterback.
Okay, but you don't have to give him a Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Dak Prescott contract. You give him a 1-year deal.
But what is Daniel Jones's QB market? I mean, that's the thing. Like Kyler Murray.
If Daniel Jones plays really well, and he's not other teams' guy, so. And the only way he would be like really hard to get like on the open market was if he played 17 games and played really well, like a top 8 QB, and the Giants were just like, hey, we don't want to move on.
If he has a Leonard Williams contract
even
year, 2020.
if he has, but even if he has that year, the Giants aren't going to give him a long-term deal. Like max, they would give him a 2-year deal.
Yeah,
max if he played great this year.
Yeah.
So I say yes because it's not a huge commitment, and if he's playing really well, again. You're not picking in the top 5, top 7 where those QBs are.
And it very much does depend on if they feel like there's a guy in this draft class that does interest them, like you said. So here's my next question. Here's my mailbag question of the day. When are we hiring a director of college scouting? Hasn't happened yet.
I don't know.
Has to be soon. These scouts are getting out on the road. They're going to be, going about their normal business for the college season. So when is this guy coming?
I guess right now it looks like Joe Shane and Brandon Brown are going to be the ones heading that up.
Are there any teams in the NFL that don't have a director of college scouting?
I don't know. I wish someone asked us that in a mailbag because we could look it up.
Because then we would have looked it up.
Yeah.
Or are you about to sneeze?
No, I'm going to see if I can do a quick Google search.
Yeah, do a quick little Google search. Because, that is huge. It is a huge... obviously, QB1 is a huge element of if this Joe Shane era will be successful or not. That's what I want. I want them to get their guy. Not forcing drafting a QB. Go out and get your guy. Don't take a guy because you feel like you have to take a quarterback.
I don't think the Bills have a director of college scouting.
Wow.
First team I looked at.
There you go. All right, beat reporter friends. Next time Joe Shane speaks, which I don't even know next time that would be, do you expect to hire a director of college scouting? Boom. I guess the closest... Oh, they might?
They have an assistant director of college scouting. No, they don't have anyone under that title. But that is a good point. Like with Joe Shane, we'll talk sometime during camp. They do, the GM every year just randomly pops up and does an interview during camp. Ask him when are you going to hire a director of college scouting because they haven't got to talk to him since Chris Pettit got fired.
Yeah, Tim McDonald is the director of player personnel. So, clearly, I think he was definitely confided in more than Chris Pettit this draft process. So. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, next question.
Kyle Van Vlack. The real double V. Love that. Hey guys, you two are my favorite podcasters, not just Giants. Thank you, Kyle. You're the man. 2 questions about Aaron Robinson. 1, does he have the best hair on the team? My vote is yes. 2, is he the official CB number 2 or the slot corner? And where do you think he is better suited? Hashtag Talking Giants versus the world.
I mean, all reports say he's playing cornerback 2 on the outside. And let's also not forget that they drafted Cordell Flott. They have Darnay Holmes on the roster. I mean, I would be surprised if we go to training camp and Aaron Robinson's not lined up on the outside, Justin.
Yes, I would agree. I actually really loved the Aaron Robinson PPP. That is coming out on Monday. The Sterling Shepard, Aaron Robinson PPP. So basically,
I was wondering. I was like, I feel like we talked about Aaron Robinson a lot on Tuesday. And I forgot we recorded the PPP already.
Because I included this question because Kyle said that we're his favorite podcasters, which thank you. And then to self-promote the PPP that is coming out on Monday. I thought we did a really good job breaking him down and some expectations.
Yeah, so you got to listen to the PPP. How about that? Next question.
How about that?
Do a question.
Big Dash knows.
This is a tough question, man.
This is a tough question, which Big Dash knows, by the way. One of my favorite profile pictures on Twitter. He's wearing a Giants hat, a blue Giants shirt that I also own with like a blue wall background, and he just looks so cool and it's so like professional. Who has the bigger impact on the offense, Wan'Dale Robinson or Daniel Bellinger?
You know me, I write down my answers for everything in the mailbag before we record. I don't know. Like, that's a tough question, man. That is a really tough question because Daniel Bellinger right now, like, we're kind of expecting him to be tight end 1. And even if he's not tight end 1, he's going to play a lot. And then Wan'Dale, if all things are right, would be the 4th wide receiver. Even if Shep isn't playing, he's the 3rd wide receiver. So I'm going to say Bellinger. I mean, the tight end's an important spot. Can he play it well?
Yeah. I was doing some PPP research, and before this past year, where Dawson Knox took 87% of the snaps, he received like 58 to 64% of the snaps his first 2 years in the league. Yeah, there were some games where he missed, but he was active for the majority of the games. So really the first 2 years of his career before he kind of developed as a tight end that you can fully rely on, he was not on the field like you would think a tight end 1 would be. So part of me thinks that, yes,
wait, Dawson Knox was on the field like 60% of the time his rookie year? Yeah. To me, that's a lot for a 3rd round tight end.
Yeah, so, but, you know, in your brain, you kind of think tight end 1, you're on the field almost every single play. But that's what Daniel Bellinger is. Like, he is tight end 1. He is a guy that can block. We don't have a blocking tight end on the roster. Daniel Bellinger is basically it. So. Yeah,
but I expect the other guys to get, Ricky Seals-Jones or Jordan Akins to get reps as well.
But for it to be so much where Daniel Bellinger's only on the field for like 50% of the plays?
55, 60%? Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay. I mean, that also tells me that, hey, more 10 personnel, but I mean, that's a lot of 10 personnel. That's a lot of formations where it's just 4 wide receivers, stuff like that.
I just think they'll rotate it a little bit. Yeah, if he plays really well to start, then it's like, yeah, but let him go. But, as he gets his feet under him, I think they're going to give the other 2 cats some reps.
Yeah. They're even going to count 11 personnel when it's Ricky Seals-Jones flanked out as a wide receiver, but he's technically a tight end because that's what position he plays. That's what they did that with Evan Ingram for years.
Yeah, that's why I hated the Giants didn't run a single rep of 10 personnel last year. It's like, no. 11 with Evan Ingram is basically 10, and especially when he's split out.
Yeah. So I can imagine that's going to be, they're going to run that a decent amount with Ricky Seals-Jones because you don't want Ricky Seals-Jones' hand in the dirt attempting to block because that is not a good decoy. It's like, please run the ball with Ricky Seals-Jones on the field. All right, I'll give an answer. Did you give an answer? You said Bellinger.
Yeah, I said Bellinger, but it's a tough one, man. This is a really good question.
Yeah, I also agree Bellinger just because...
I might turn this into a Twitter poll.
just because of the blocking. Like the ability to block and the fact that it's tight end 1 versus wide receiver 3 at best, hopefully wide receiver 3.
Actually, I'll wait till Daniel Bellinger gets off PUP to do a poll, because right now it'll be PUP-less panic.
Yeah.
All right, read an ad, and then we'll do the last question.
All right. Bobby Skinner, remember when we were on our way to the Andrew Thomas interview, and we were driving on 1 and 9? Busy part of 1 and 9, Jersey City, heinous, hectic. What do you need? What did you need for the Andrew Thomas interview?
My black coffee.
Your black coffee. And every day you need your cold brew, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, guess what? I don't. I didn't have a cold brew habit, but I broke whatever habit I might have had in the morning because I take AG1 by Athletic Greens. That's right. I start off every single morning with a scoop of AG1, 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, superfoods, and probiotics. It helps start my day right. The special blend of ingredients supports the gut health, my nervous system, my immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all the things. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. It costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Bobby Skinner, it's cheaper than that. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/giants. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/giants to take ownership over your health and pick up the daily ultimate nutritional insurance. Final question. Mr. Brownstone. Been a while since we heard from him. Don't really know if this is a reference to something.
Come on, dude.
I don't.
This is pain. You're gonna get I hope people listen this far in the episode, because you're gonna get so much hate for not knowing this.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing when you reference that cartoon on Tuesday.
That's different. That's before your time. This is like, you should know this.
Somebody left a YouTube comment saying Bobby's the only person I respect on the show because I didn't know that stupid cartoon reference, which makes me feel great. Always improves my self-confidence. I got a fat joke on Tuesday. Like, what do I do? What do I do that gets people so fucking mad?
Just screw them.
Do you love this shit, Mr. Brownstone ass? Are you high right now? Do you ever get nervous? I don't know where that's from.
Come on, man.
Is it a rap song?
Yes.
Oh, well, come on. I don't do that.
I do, Mr. Brownstone. Except for the... I'm not high right now. I love this shit. And yes, I do get nervous. Because guess what? Training camp is here. From here on out, the next 6 weeks, we will have an episode every single weekday. Sterling Shepard and Aaron Robinson player profile and projection on Monday. Tuesdays are camp position battles, and Dan Benton of Giants will be joining us. Wednesday is Leonard Williams and...
Mark
Lewinsky player profile projection. Thursday is Blake Martinez and Ricky Seals-Jones. Friday we're having on possibly John Schmilk, and we're doing some camp recaps. There will be some type of injury we'll talk about. So I love it, and we're gonna have so much content out this next 6 weeks, and then obviously it leads into the season where it's our time to shine. So come with us. Tell your friends about the show. The season is realistically when we grow the most, but there's 2 times where we get the tweets of where people will start listening. They say the draft and training camp. So I'm very excited for training camp. I'm going to be in New Jersey for every single open practice. So we'll see you there. We'll see you at FanFest, and we'll see you on Monday. Until then, let's go Big Blue.